Welcome, everybody. Once again, we are back. We are back. We have some guests with us today. And today's topic is modern day dating. So, we're going to be discussing how it is out there in the dating game these days. We have some guests as well. So, yeah. But before we get started, okay. All right. We got Cleveland. He's in traffic, but he's still with us. So that's a good thing. So which one of you lovely ladies want to introduce yourselves first?
Hello, everyone. My name is Vita Redmond.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Reepa Patnaik.
Okay.
Trying to
Okay. So today's topic, we're talking about Cleveland. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good. You're good and clear, brother. You're good and clear. Okay. So today's topic, we're talking about modern day dating.
Loaded topic, sir. Loaded topic.
So, I mean, three of us are married, but we're just gonna chime in anyway to assist.
Yeah, I feel like y'all put me on Sesame Street. Like that, three of these things belong together, and which of these things is a little bit different, and that's me. So.
Right. So Miss Reaper, so how is it out there in the modern dating world?
Sir, I'm not gonna lie, it's rough. It's rough, and I think the older you get, the tougher it gets, and it's not because it's due to a lack of people. It's due to maybe more and more through experience what you're willing to put up with,
Right.
and what you're willing to say, oh, that's a game stopper. I'm done. This is not going to work for me. And when you're kind of secure in knowing what you want, sometimes it does narrow down your choices. But at the same time, you can be broad-minded. Your list isn't so rigid that you cut yourself out of the game. There's some that you have flexibility with, and some that are showstoppers. Like, hey, I will not compromise in this particular area. And there's some you can bend on.
I understand. So before we go any further, Jeremy White, thank you for chiming in. Harold Walters, thank you for chiming in, man. I just want to give y'all a shout out. Thank you for the support, brothers. What you got, Cleve?
Miss Reaper, my first question is, what is your ideal man?
What is my ideal man? I absolutely can tell you that. My ideal man comes in the form of a man who loves God more than he loves me. Because a man that knows he could put God first will treat me absolutely the way I needed to be treated. And any relationship formed on that foundation is the most solid relationship I could ever ask for.
Okay.
So does it matter what religion? Because sometimes people practice different religions, but they still believe in a deity. They just call them a different name and they go about different rituals.
For me, I need to be equally yoked. So a man that follows Christ and knows that Christ comes first in my heart is a man that is solid in foundation walking with me. Does that mean that I'm not saying that anybody else is wrong or anything like that? I am born and raised in a Hindu household. My parents came from India. They were two Hindu parents that now have 3 Christian children that are rooted and founded in Christ. But to me, I need somebody that in the hard times, I can get on my knees and pray with and know that we have similar strengths and values, and understands that my relationship with Christ is not seen as a hindrance, but seen as a foundation to what we are building in a life moving forward.
Right. I mean, out of curiosity, so are your parents do they still practice Hinduism?
My mom does. My father passed away when I was 16, but my mom is absolutely a very devout Hindu. But my sister is a teaching pastor, and my brother and my sister both helped found a plant church. And so my mom does attend their services and supports, and it's just beautiful. And she's the one that actually told us that any meaningful relationship in your life starts with God. And so she instilled that value in us. And she said, which God you follow and how you get there, that's personal to you, but it begins and ends with God.
So Reaper, quick question.
Miss Vita, I don't know. I think she faded out for whatever reason, but hopefully
I'm so sorry.
Hopefully
Can you guys hear me now?
No, hopefully, huh?
Oh, are you talking about me or Kavita?
No. I was talking to you. I was just talking to both of you guys. I was just letting you guys know. I don't know what happened to Miss Vita. She faded out, but if she's more than welcome to come back.
Okay.
Maybe she's taking care of some things. I don't know. What you got, Cleve?
No, I was gonna say quick question, Reaper. Are any of your siblings married?
Both of my siblings are married. I am the only one that is single. I have an elder sister and a younger brother, and we have quite a bit of an age gap. My brother is almost 8 years younger than I am, and my sister is 5 years elder to me. And so my brother got married what's considered a little later in life. My sister got married at 22, and then there was me. So yeah, it's definitely different being this age in a culture that I came from, where, being married, your success as a woman is based on being married, having children, and it's kind of a cultural bias. So being single at my age, it's very interesting in my culture, how that's seen as well.
Right.
Okay. And my next question would be, are you part of a church? Because I know you say you practice Christianity. Are you part of a church?
I do belong to a church here in Atlanta, and I serve at that church as well.
Do they have a singles ministry at the church?
No, we do community groups at our church, and the community groups, when you go to them, they're broken out into, they pair all the single people together, and then you break up. If you're a married couple, you stayed with the other married couples to do your community group. So, but it's not like a singles ministry per se. And there's a lot of youngsters at our church. It's kind of a really hip church, I guess that's the best way I can put it. So there's a lot of that younger generation that I find is still single and whatever. And I've yet to find, I know single older people in my age group through church, but I haven't seen where there's anything specifically catered to our age group as singles, if that makes sense.
Okay, because the reason why I asked, because I know that's something that because a lot of men are not into the church, and for one reason is because of if y'all do have a singles ministry, that's one way that you can find the type of man that you're looking for. One, and on top of that, that the pastor will actually oversee, if they had a single ministry like that. And also, I just was wondering, because following through, through the church and everything, if they did have a Christian ministry, a single ministry, I would feel they would, speak on the purpose of man and the purpose of woman. And I think that's where it gets lost when it comes down to dating, when it comes down to dating to, with a purpose, and dating to get married. I think that's where a lot of places, that's how the church falls short, because they don't teach that through, through a single ministry. And I think that's something that's very important, that a church would need, because that's what the community is built of, is built on, it should be built on, families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would tend to agree with that.
So Jeremy chimed in. I put his
I see that there.
Yeah. So he says Christ is the only requirement, which I thought I was going to ask a similar question, because I consider myself a spiritual being. I do believe in a higher power, but I do not subscribe to a religion. However, my wife she was born Catholic. They live in a Catholic country. I'm living in a Catholic country. So, but it doesn't affect our relationship. So, and you've been in America. Let me say this. And you've been in America. I mean, it's like a melting pot. So it's almost you got really different religion, belief, and ethnicities. I mean, even in Christianity, you got over 500 different type of Christianity. So, I mean, I'm just to throw it out there. But I understand. I respect your choice and your preference. That's your choice. So I respect that.
Yeah, and so for me, first and foremost, I was born and raised in the South. Right, I'm a Bible Belt girl. I was born and raised in Alabama. Never really lived or immersed in the Indian culture. But I do want to address Jeremy's question first, because I think it is really good. As far as looks goes, yeah, everybody has a chemistry or an attraction. But a little bit about myself. I physically have gone through so many changes due to health condition over the last, let's say, 10 years, right? And a lot of times I get judged on my looks. Like, oh, you have a really pretty face, but if you would have lost a little bit of weight, I would have been so into you. So here's what I have come to learn through a lifetime. Who you are inside and the core of your foundation doesn't tend to change, where your physical outward appearance or how you look can. And if I am with a man and he gets into a car accident or something happens, my love for him will not change because he physically has changed. And if that is an attribute that I am basing my love off of or my relationship off of, then I don't think I will succeed moving forward. So it isn't high on my list. While there has to be some physical attraction, it's not one of the main things. As far as finance, as far as living, I want somebody. Now, I'm a career woman. I work in corporate America. I have a pretty substantial job, like with a great title. And to me, it doesn't mean anything. Like, people around me tend to be intimidated that, oh, she's in technology and she's like a senior manager of something. To me, those things really don't matter. But as long as I know that you have ambitions and goals and things that you're dreaming and working towards, like, to me, that matters, because material things come and go. And when I die, I can't take them with me. I lost my father at a very young age. And what I would have loved is, through his struggle of trying to make money and take care of not only us, but his family in India, the time I lost in that 16 years of getting to know my father. There she is. Time I lost.
Yeah, you kind of, can you hear us, Vita? I'm sorry for interrupting. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys now.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. So go ahead, Ms. Reaper.
That's okay. So the time I lost in that grind that my father was having to do, I'm not quite sure, maybe it turned me away from that. But what I learned is, the day he died, my sister said something that I have lived by my whole life. And she said, my father is the richest man I know alive. And it is not because he had a big bank account, but my father's funeral was not only filling the whole funeral hall, the hallway, but it was standing room in the parking lot. And she said, the people that you see around you tells you he led a life that was richer than anything that we can imagine. And so I lead a life based on that. I think we can all make money. We can all, like, I want to live comfortably. I don't have to live lavishly. I want to be loved and I want to love others, but I don't need material things. And so it's my life experience that molds that, nor do I judge anybody that desires or enjoys those things, because we're each a unique individual. And that's the beauty of how we've been created. And I respect others for their differences and their views, because it teaches me to see the world a little bit differently than I do. But it doesn't mean it's something I want to live out or walk out.
Right.
Okay.
I want to say that, I wish we had more to think the way you think. However, what you just gave, it was awesome. And I believe you wholeheartedly. But I'm telling you, from what I see, even though I'm a married man, my ears still open. They still work.
Yes, sir.
Right now, that we do not. I do not hear people like that are so grounded. I'm telling you, I just don't see it.
And the thing is, Reaper, I agree with you and Daniel 100%, like totally. And I appreciate, the conversation, the conversation that we're having. And the thing is, in this culture, in this part of the world, is different. And the market it's a market, a dating market, to where, because we all can agree that men are visual creatures. So and when you gave the example of the man, as far as if you get married and he was to get into an accident, that's definitely the way it should be. But when you're dating and a man knows nothing about you, I mean, the first thing, because we're visual creatures, the first thing he goes off of is looks. And you people may say that's wrong. They may say that's not correct, but that's just the way men are. Most men, that's the way they are. And that's to touch on that. And then on top of it, as far as the money aspect, men that are on a purpose, and they know, and they are actually out here dating seriously, your money doesn't matter. Your career doesn't matter. Your degrees doesn't matter. That's not what they focus on. They're not focused on those type of things. They're focused on, what can, in my purpose of making it from today until I leave this planet, what can, my mate bring to my purpose? And when it comes down to a man being on his purpose, money, degrees, and all that, it doesn't matter. That does not matter.
Right. I saw another comment, the magical unicorn comment.
I'll put it back up. I will put it back up.
Yes.
There you go.
So it's absolutely not magical, because the things I've said don't seem good to be true. A lot of times it is my hindrance, and it can be why I am still single today. In the sense that, I'll give an example. I was engaged to a man, and I love to serve. I do a lot of service work, and I volunteered for the AIDS Action Coalition for 10 years in Alabama, where I used to live. And
which part of Alabama, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm from Huntsville.
Okay, that's North Alabama. Okay, gotcha.
North Alabama. And I will never forget that I had to spend a Saturday morning setting up for World AIDS Day. And he was so angry. Like, you would rather spend your time with dying people and homeless people, and you wouldn't spend time with me. And then I had another gentleman friend who worked at the same company with me, and he goes, I've really missed spending time with you, Reepa. I hear that you're doing this event. Can I volunteer, and so I can spend time with you while you're volunteering? And I looked at the man I was supposed to be marrying and thought, wow, if I could get that level of support from somebody I am supposed to be spending the rest of my life with to say, I realize that this is important to your heart. Let me stand beside you one Saturday morning versus think that you should be making me breakfast in bed, which happened every other Saturday that I wasn't doing this work. It would have been nice to feel that love and support. And that's where I said, there are some parts of my list that are negotiable. And then there's some parts of my list that aren't negotiable. So I walked in that reality, having my health issues and fluctuating in weight. I mean, the treatments I get put on sometimes for the tumor I have, because that's what I'm going through, it can make me gain weight like 50 to 60 pounds over a course of 5 to 6 months. And then equally, when the cancer is out of control, I can lose a lot of weight. And so for me, it is very different, because if a man wants to base it off of solely my looks, which you have to have an initial physical attraction. But sometimes, you know, in this modern day, you do the online dating stuff. And during pandemic, I did online dating. And all you could do were like these mainly like Zoom calls and things like that, where you get to know an individual. And then like we would meet up in a park later and see how it goes. And I appreciated the opportunity to have conversation so somebody could get to know who and what I was before they got to see me 100% fully, because my pictures can be a little bit off. I could have a great day and my face could be less swollen, or, you know, they don't see a full body picture or whatever it may be. And then when they see me in person, they already kind of know my personality. And that's what made them want a face-to-face encounter, right?
Right. So let me say this though. I mean, just for the record. I mean, I'm just trying to, and I'm rooting for you. Let me say that. So you do have guys. I know some guys. I know a guy that I came on with in the fire department. He loved plus size women, but as men are attracted to what they see first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just the way we're wired up. You know, it may seem shallow, but that is the way we're wired up. So,
right. And I don't think that's shallow at all.
Okay.
I don't think that's shallow. You have to have a physical attraction. I personally don't have I have dated outside of my race. I have dated so many different ethnicities. So I don't have a type per se. Does that make sense? I've dated super skinny. I dated one of my exes. He's Indian. His name was Sook, but he looked like an Indian Snoop Dogg. Skinny, really tiny little guy, scrawny.
Right.
I don't, I just, and then I've dated like really big muscular guys that hover over me. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not limited in my physical attraction.
Right. Understood. And again, I mean, I just want to piggyback off Self-Made. You know, he's basically complimenting you, saying you have pleasant and feminine energy.
Yes, lovely.
I'm telling you, it's amazing just to hear you, just to be right here in your presence, even though it's virtual, but you can feel it. You know what I'm saying? You can feel it. And as men, we gravitate towards stuff like that. You know, first it is the initial contact with the physical, and then from that one, the personality that draws you too. Because when I was single, I dated a woman that I wasn't like right off the. I mean, everybody's not going to be a model, so we have to be realistic with that. But if they had a great personality and they was, you know, I was okay with it. You know, I go for it. You know, I'm not sitting on, like I said, I don't have to have a supermodel or anything like that. I wasn't shallow like that. But again, as men, we do first initially look for the first thing is attraction. So I just want to say that.
And the thing, Reaper, like when like a lot of people before you even get it, like this, like how you sitting here telling us the story and explaining and everything, like a man just from looking at you, he probably would never get to know that. And most men, they want a person that is feminine. They want a person,
Yeah.
that is peaceful. They want a
She's
person they
that.
can get along
She's-
with.
she's-
They
she
want
got that. She got
they
that.
want
Yeah.
a person that is submissive.
You got
know?
it. You got it.
And so my next thing, and I typically don't say this, but my next thing is you may want to pay don't go on one of these free what do you call dating sites.
Food dating
But
site, yeah.
No, don't go on.
Online
Go
dating
to a
sites.
go to because I've known several people to go on these matchmaking sites, but these men that are spending their money, they are serious. Because a man, wherever he put his money, he's serious. And you may want to go on one of these match dating sites. I mean, I don't know if that's something that is you can afford, but men that are
absolutely.
Men that are serious and men who actually gonna know off the rip who you are, what you about, and everything from the matchmaker.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about him being surprised if you got kids or if you stay with your mom or
you don't have
type of job
kids
you got.
anyway, right?
It
I
just
do
seems
not.
so
No.
scary, the online dating thing.
So it's funny. I actually have done simultaneously. I paid on one site, done some of the freebie sites, and I'll be honest with.
Don't do the freebies.
Well, I mean, look, I just put myself out there because I have various friends who have had luck on certain sites, so they'll recommend, right? So some haven't paid and have gotten married off of it and are happily married. And then some are like, hey, pay for this. So I've done them, but I will be honest with you, like even on the paid site, even if you have I will tell you as a woman, one of my number one turnoffs, these sites require you to put up like 5 to 6 pictures. So there's this girl rule of thumb. Do some head ones, do a full body one, do some with your friends, so you show a little bit of diversity in your things. These guys, they'll talk to you and they'll be like, hey, can you send me more pictures of yourself? Like, a little bit. And I'm like, sir, what kind of images would you like that you're asking for? And then when they start talking, I'm like, that don't sound like a matchmaker website. I'm talking about things you paid for. This was off.
This just sounds like, how do you know like who's being truthful, who's not? Is that a real genuine picture? Is this person telling the truth? Like,
I get that.
So that's why you go through a matchmaking company, a company that matchmake, not these people you pay $200-$300 for. I'm telling you, I have friends who have spent from $10,000 to $15,000 on matchmaking, and they are I say 80% of the people I know that do this, they are successful.
So you're not really talking about like online dating. You're more talking about matchmaking services.
Yes, that's what that's
a whole nother sphere.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you out here dating on these websites that are free and Christian and Plenty of Fit and all these different websites, they're gonna run game.
Hey, when I was single, I did Plenty of Fish. I didn't get the tadpoles. Go ahead.
But those men are serious, and on top of that, you're gonna get this person is gonna know basically everything that you want them to know about you on paper, and then pictures, and also talk to you on the phone and all that. And see, the thing is, once you have a conversation with a man who's on his purpose, Reaper, I know that this man is he's gonna want to date you. But the problem is, you gotta be in that area, in that circle around these men.
That's what it is. She gotta put herself in the circle. That's what she gotta do.
Yes.
And
you have to be around these men.
But something that you're not saying, but she has to find a man who's okay with having a plus size woman.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm telling you,
And-
I'm gonna tell you what
and
I'm
the thing
thinking. I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking. Hold on a second, Cleo. I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking right off the rip, right? I'm telling you right now, and I could be dead wrong, but I just really feel it. Like, I'm telling you right now, African guys, listen, you at the top of the. I'm telling you right now, for real. The African guys, they not. Listen, you are it. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to. Them West African guys, I'm telling you.
Because they
Africans,
believe
some
that the plus
Jamaicans,
size
they like
girl
big girls.
is
Yeah.
eating well. She's in her riches. They value
And-
that.
Right.
And it's your temperament. It's your how submissive you are. Like, yes, you
Yeah.
yes,
Oh man.
yes.
I'm telling you
They
right
will.
now, you'd be like, oh man, you'd be like, dang, you should have told me this 10 years ago.
I absolutely. I'll be honest with you guys. I think I've been engaged twice in my life, and both times it was interesting. They were to Indian males, and it was their parents that. And it wasn't at the time. I was not plus size, but it was the parents because the one guy was born and raised here. That he was the eldest son, and I'm from a different part of India than their family is from. And they were like, "Oh, she won't be able to keep up the culture," and blah blah blah.
Oh,
And then
the
other one was from India, and there's a caste system. And at the time, devout Hindu, like he's in the priest class of Hinduism. I was a vegetarian, and he was eating meat, and his family didn't know. And I don't know, his mom was like, over my dead body, will you be with a meat-eating person? Locked herself in a closet for 3 days, wouldn't come out, wouldn't eat. And so ultimately, I never want to be long. And here's another thing that is important to me. In my relationship, I am very family-oriented. And even though my siblings, none of my siblings have married Indian at all. Both my sister and my brother. My sister married someone she went to high school with. My brother married, one of his high school friends' older sisters. So not only is she outside of being Indian, they're both Caucasians, and my brother even married somebody a few years older than him. But the way we all celebrate with his in-laws, my sister's in-laws. They invite my mom. They come and pick my mom up for these family events because she's a widower who never remarried. And so my siblings' in-laws, we call their nieces and nephews call me aunt. We all run as an extended family. And so for me, I need to belong in a family that wants me to be part of their family so that I can love and treat them as an extension of my family.
Understood.
And so that is something that is so important to me.
Understood.
As far as self-made questions, so I can't speak. Our culture has been evolving and changing. It was very hard when my sister first introduced us to who is now my brother-in-law. And the reason being is the first time we met him was while my father was on life support, dying in a hospital. Right. And the people that were seeing my mother, instead of asking how she was doing as she has to unplug her husband, was like, "Who's the white guy with your daughter?" And my mom said, "Do you think I even care at this moment? Do you think it matters to me who the white guy with my daughter is? I'm losing my husband." Right. And it was a big deal. But my sister chose to get married the very next year, right after my father's 1-year death anniversary. And my mom will tell you this time and time again. I could have never asked for a better son-in-law than the one I have. Your race does not matter. Your religion does not matter. But how you treat my daughter matters.
Exactly.
And that is the blessing of the home I grew up in.
Right.
That my parents came from another country, but see the value in somebody being an amazing human being.
Right. I think what self-made is alluding to, correct me if I'm wrong, self-made. I mean, because as Americans, we've always heard how in the Indian culture, they kind of, like you said, you did mention the caste system and how they are very strict on tradition and they really don't want outside influence to come in, so to speak.
But that was my point. It's all broken up.
But it's not you. I'm talking about
I'm talking about the culture itself has evolved over time. You have to understand that's an old school way of thinking.
Right.
As time has gone on and we've lived in this country longer and longer, like in my friend circle alone, I can tell you very few of them have married within the Indian race.
Right.
Very few.
Because that's what I was thinking. I mean, every time I've heard that, I've heard that throughout the years, and I've always, said to myself, I say, well, if they continue to come, whether not just the Indian group, any other ethnicity, if they come into America, which is a melting pot, you just never know. I mean, they're gonna interact with other people that don't look like them. This is America. Sure. So I'm always questioning that. I was like, okay, at some point, the scale is gonna tilt. It's gonna somebody, either a male or a female from
But you know what's very cool and interesting is it's not only happening here in America. That interracial kind of relationships are happening overseas. You see more and more American women and men that have chosen to live in India that are finding a spouse there, learning the culture, learning the language, or even in Korea and China, you see people coming from Europe and America wanting to be English teachers or whatever their company has sent them there. They're learning. And then they marry into that culture, and you're seeing that this is not only happening here in America, but it's happening overseas. You see a lot of interracial couples happening.
I mean, I know it's happened across seas. I was talking about in India.
That's happening there.
Right, I'm learning. I'm listening. I'm learning. I'm just saying. No other places. I know we're accepted. I know they love us black people. But okay.
I was gonna say, so my father is African American from Tuskegee, Alabama, and my mom, Reba's my cousin. So my mom's from India, and they met when my father was in college over here at Kentucky State University. And so my mom went through that. So when she got married, she didn't even tell her side of the family that she was getting married to a black man. Right. She didn't even mention it. Her mother and father, my grandparents, found out the hard way. They found out from my uncles who happened to see my dad's shoes in their apartment and then spread the word. But my parents have been married. I lost count after 35. It's going on 40, about 40 years they've been married. But in the beginning, like people were saying, times have changed because back then it wasn't as accepted. And so my mom went through that. But now they love my father. They want us to come visit. They want us to go over there. But back then it was hard. And when you look at their wedding pictures, there's no Indians at all in her wedding pictures.
I think once you have grandkids and stuff like that, it changes, the dynamics of what family looks like, in these so-called traditional.
But another thing, Cleve, that we're not mentioning is the world evolved through the internet. So now they're able to see other people other than themselves in India going, wow, I can live that type of life. Oh, okay. Black people not all that bad. They're not all bad. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're getting rid of these mental blocks that have been embedded in your head, and now you see the world from a broader view. You're not stuck with those minor thoughts.
So it's kind of funny because I think of what happened to me when I first moved to Atlanta and how the kids so I went to a church that was an inner city mission here in Atlanta, and I had a group I was a youth, I was leading youth group, and the kids did not know what an Indian person was, and they were like, "Miss Ripa, are you like Mexican?" I said, "Hold on, I don't understand what that means." And they're like, "Because are you black and Mexican? Because your hair, you got this really nice straight hair. Like, so are you black and Mexican mixed?" I said, "No, my parents are from India." And they just looked at me like, "Whoa, you're an alien. What is that?" So like, equally, it reminded me, some people don't even, like, they were not aware like what I was. Like, in their sheltered world, I was black mixed with like something else.
Right.
Right.
And that goes to show you how educational system as well, as far as
not in inner city Atlanta, right?
Because when you said India, they should have been like, "Oh, okay, she's from that side of the globe." They should have knew that.
Yeah. But I think times are changing, definitely. And if you see, like, it's not only that, it's not only the internet, but like all these companies are like going international. They're sending people to different places. Like, I'll give you an example of when I think India was really starting to integrate and get interracial, is when call centers started opening in India. They started sending major banking companies and credit card companies, and they would send people to train and open these up. And so you were having a lot of foreigners come into India, and a lot of times they were falling in love. They were meeting people, and then they decided to settle and get married. And so you tend to see more and more interracial couples in India now. But I think it was as economy changed, as businesses changed, as internet opened things up, you had the experience and the ability to grow over there as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
Ripa, do you travel a lot, like out the country?
So I did before I got really sick. I loved to travel. Unfortunately, like now I even have to get permission to go to California. So from my doctors. So I don't get to travel as much, but I have a list that I want to do as soon as I get cleared to travel. Like Bali is on my list. Nepal is on my list. I definitely want to do like a European train tour. Machu Picchu.
Yeah. That's what my wife, that's what we plan on doing.
Yep. Machu Picchu. I want to do Machu Picchu. There's so many places I want to see and I want to go. And definitely lately, I don't know what it has been. I've been watching like K-dramas and things like that. So like Korea is on my list, and in China, I've been watching like shows about MMA fighting in this. Don't ask.
It's okay.
But anyway, so I definitely want to learn how to speak Mandarin, and I want to learn how to speak Korean. So that's on my list.
Cool.
Wow. Well, I will say this. Dating is definitely it's crazy out here right now, especially once you get out of your 20s. For women, it's definitely getting harder. For men, it's getting, as far as them being able to pick and choose, it gets better for men as we get older.
So can I talk about something I haven't heard yet mentioned?
Bring up whatever you want to bring up. Whatever you want to bring up.
Whatever you want to talk about.
And I get this because, like, I do believe that when you're in a relationship, male and females have roles. Okay. But here's the thing. A man who's in his 40s, without a blink of an eye, can take on a 22-year-old bride. But I kid you not, a woman in her 40s goes anywhere even near the lower end of the 40s or into the 30s, gets looked like, you just robbed the cradle. You just took somebody you could hurt. You hurt that baby boy.
No.
So you want to take this in, or you want me to get it? Let me say this, Ripa.
I'm gonna go ahead, Cleve. I'm gonna let you handle it.
Let me say this, Ripa. Okay, so for a woman, like for instance, women in their 30s, 40s, going into their 50s, They say they want a younger man, but they don't want a younger man for the simple fact they want somebody who's going to be able to provide, right, and protect. So knowing that, you're not going to want a 22-year-old man. And on top of that, a 22-year-old man, a man that's 30 and younger, he's not going to be able to provide, because a man is not going to be able to provide until he get up into his 40s, especially black men. We're not able to get, to provide because we just don't have the resources and everything to be able to get to that point. So it takes for us to get up into our 40s before we even understand money.
Now,
what money
I'm
does,
not
how to
saying
use
a
money.
22-year-old man, because I would never think that's okay. But there are men that are in their mid to later 30s. There are men that mature. I'm going to use my younger brother, and I mean, please don't take that gross. I'm not saying I would ever date my younger brother, but my younger brother really matured in life very early. He lost a father at 8 years old. At 8 years old, my brother owned 3 companies and was banking lots of money by the time he was 28 years old. The level of responsibility and the way he cares for a woman is because on my father's dying deathbed, told an 8-year-old boy, "You are the man of the household." And my brother took that to heart. And he has, I am 8 years older than that child, but he has always treated me like I was a younger sister and he had to care for me. So where you are saying some truths, I will argue that there are men out there, Cleveland.
You talking about a small percent?
You talk about it's a small percent or not, they do exist. I'm not going to say, I'm not saying there's a vast majority, but I would never go for a younger man unless he fell in a category such as that.
Well, let me say this. There's always an anomaly. Okay, there's always an exception to the rule. Let me say that. And again, with this particular situation with your brother, I mean, you're right. He took it to the heart. It was something that resonated within him. When your father spoke to him, he took it to the heart and he took off racing. And that's a good thing. It gave him motivation, it gave him focus. So that's a good thing. But as far as back to the conversation, I mean, to what you was mentioning about age, it's not frowned upon for an older woman to go with a younger man. It's just not going to last. So if she does it,
I'm saying the amount of flack in the comments a woman can get,
it's gonna be more of, if an older woman get with a younger guy, it's gonna be more of a sexual pleasure.
Yeah,
type.
it's sexual. It's not.
Yeah, more of a fling.
Or because most younger guys not even looking at an older woman. I mean, I'm just saying most. Again, there's always exception to the rule. I'm not saying it 100%.
I'm saying there are some that, and I've not had this, but there's some that look for the moms to.
But by nature, younger women always have been attracted to older men. By nature.
And an older man can provide an older man can provide a life for a younger woman that she wants. A younger man cannot provide the life that an older woman wants. He can't.
He provides security in most cases. Financially,
physically, emotionally, leadership, like that. That's something that a younger woman will want.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. I agree. I'm just saying, even if they're a few years younger than you, I mean, I've been there, had somebody with like a 2-3 year age difference and was like, oh, the flack I caught, you're dating a younger man.
I think sometimes you shouldn't listen to them anyway. Just live your life. Okay. You in America, live your life, and do your thing. Now, I'm older than my wife. I don't live in the States anymore, but I'm 13 years older than my wife, and I love every bit of it.
My parents had an 11-year age gap. My father was 11 years elder to my mom. Yeah.
What's the youngest you'll date, Reaper?
Oh, for me, maybe like 45, probably.
That's the youngest you'll date?
45 or 45 or 44.
And what is the oldest?
I would want somebody like 55 or so, like in the upper echelon. Like
That's good. I have
like a 10-year range. Like
yeah, he's
the low end.
at 55. He's still mobile.
Yeah.
Oh man. Mm.
Yeah, and you're right, Jeremy. A lot of times a younger man thinks that it's easy. So funny that you bring that up. I had been talking to a guy like on this online dating stuff. He was divorced with a child, and we had been talking for a little bit, a couple of weeks, whatnot. And we decided to meet in person. And I'm very particular. Like, I meet in public places. I won't get into somebody's car, like on first whatever.
Right.
And I don't think that he appreciated that there was no physical contact, like a peck on the cheek or but that's who I am. I learned that a while ago, and my history. I am a product of have been like sexually assaulted and had a bunch of things that have happened to me in a lifetime. And from a very young age until my mid whatever years. And so I am very protective of my personal space.
You should.
And myself.
Absolutely.
Because that through a lifetime of like years of bad things happening, it took me until probably close to my 30s before I realized that it was okay for me to put those boundaries up and to be a little more, and where men have called me out and said, oh, you're just a tease and a prude. And often, like, I'm very open. The way I'm speaking to you guys is how I speak when I go to a dinner with somebody or if I meet people, and it often gets confused for flirtation but this is how I am with everybody, whether you're male or female. I am this open and I am this way. And sometimes it's like, you led me on, you teased me. And I'm like, in which way? How have I made you feel like I was leading you on when I was simply sharing my experience and my life and
that's just your personality. Yeah,
absolutely.
We've gone out to eat so many times, and I see how you interact, but I know you, and that's just your simple, genuine personality. That's how you truly are.
Like, I have certain rules of thumb. My rules of thumb when I go out to eat is I must know the color of my server's eyes and their name, because that means I respected them as an individual enough to treat them as a human. That I know your name, I will address you by your name, and that means I give you eye contact. If I can say my server had blue eyes, that means I looked at you directly and not at my menu and said, and I also leave words of encouragement on my receipt to anybody, male or female. Thank you for your service today. Right. I hope you have a tremendous week. If they were impactful and responded and shared something about their life, I'll write a little bit more on it.
That's
but
cool.
People are like, oh, you're such a flirt. You're such a tease. And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm simply being me.
Right. And the thing is, I think a lot of people, they haven't experienced that. So when they see that, it's easily for them to misread it. It's easily for them to misread it because they never witnessed that before. And I'm telling you, right, I can honestly say, even in the Black community, we don't hardly see that, not on that level, the way you just exemplified that. And sometimes people can misread that, but like your cousin said, you got to get to know the person first. See, once when they get to know you for who you are, then they no longer see that as being flirtatious. You're just naturally being a humble, meek person.
And these days, people aren't used to that.
Right.
Like
we
now,
need more, honestly.
We need more.
Yeah.
Reaper, have you dated anyone older than you?
Yes.
What's the oldest, if you don't mind me asking?
I think we had about a 5-year age gap between us at the time.
But and the reason why
when you went out, please, she said she'll go up to 55. I know you tuned out. She said she'll go up to age 55.
55.
So because the way you move and the way you speak and your energy or whatever, it's
Hmm. She
our
should get
age
somebody
group.
quick. She should get somebody
Yes,
quick.
but they're gonna have it's gonna have to be someone that's older, Reaper,
It's
because
gonna be older. Yep.
they have to be older because and I'm 40. How old am I? 40. I'll be 47 this year.
Yeah, you
We're the same
46,
And
age.
my guy.
I'll
You
be
46.
47 this year.
so
How old
me
are you, Reaper?
saying that,
47. I'll be
47.
47 in 2 weeks.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll be 49
So
this year.
so you're gonna have to 9 times out of 10, the guy who will appreciate you and appreciate your energy and and just your whole presence that you bring it has to be it's gonna have to be older man because you can go out there and try to search that guy that's our age or maybe younger, but you're looking for a needle in a haystack. You really are. You really looking for a needle in a haystack.
Here's what I always find is funny. And I'm going to tell you guys this. I'm being real honest at this point. Like I'm just really exposing a lot of stuff. It is very interesting to me the type of men that literally like come after me. Some guys are our age, right? Ripa, I'm filing for divorce and you're the girl in my dream. And I'm like, sir, you don't know me like that. You absolutely do not know me like that.
Right.
And
No, that ain't the one you want.
I'm sorry that your marriage is not going well in your eyes, but sir, you are looking and barking up the wrong tree.
Right.
I understand you appreciate me and I am grateful.
Yeah.
Or how about this? One of the guys I was seeing one day comes to me and says, so my ex called, and I think, if I had to choose, I would choose her over you. So let's break up.
What?
Wow.
So I was like,
Where did you meet these gentlemen at? Like, where'd you meet them at?
this person
Right.
I had been interacting with for like 5-6 years through professional channel. We'll just say that. Okay. Understood. Now, I am a believer in second chances. I am a believer in redemption stories. So when said Black professional man who makes good money and I've interacted with for all these years and we had been together for a while, comes back and says, I made the biggest mistake of my life and I am so sorry I ever said that. I don't know what I was going through. It was just a moment of weakness. It was unfinished business there. I mean, it was like weeks later, like not like there wasn't like months that had passed.
Okay. Excuse me. But my question is with that particular scenario, how long was it before he broke up with this woman?
Maybe like 5 months. And we were together before they were together. And then he went out with this other lady.
He was going back and forth.
He kind of did a back and forth.
Yeah.
So,
you don't want the rebound. You don't want the rebound relationship.
No. So he comes back. He comes back, and then he got really distant. And I knew that he had gone. Like I had plans for St. Patrick's Day, and because of kind of some professional connections, we were not really and we had just gotten back together. So I wasn't ready to take him to this event because there were mutual people we knew. And so he decided to go somewhere to a bar and he meets all these people and he's calling me and he's like intoxicated and there's this cool group of people here. Can't you just leave where you're at and drive 45 minutes to me? And I'm like, no, unfortunately you can't. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, it turns out I wasn't cheated on, but conveniently, when he broke up with me yet again, he started talking to the girl he met on St. Patrick's Day. And then, not only that, he decided to leave a professional environment that, you know, we would mutually see each other, and decides to, we're broken up. I know he's with this other woman, but apparently he had just proposed to her like maybe 4 or 5 days before, and came over to where I was sitting and just said, hey, I'm leaving my role, so we won't really interact, and decided it was appropriate to invade my personal space and go ahead and kiss me. And then I found out the next day he had proposed to this woman. Well, then last year,
Goodness gracious.
slides into my DMs
Right.
talking about, just want to check on you. You're often on my mind. And I'm like, can I ask why, when you have a family, you are now married? And while I appreciate your appreciation for the woman I am, appreciate your wife as much as you're appreciating me. And that's the best thing you can do. So it's so funny, kind of the ebbs and the flows I go through with some of these men that have these afterthoughts, or in marriages that they chose over being in a relationship with me, and then talking about, you were the girl that I could talk to about anything. You're professionally sound. Like, we could have intellectual conversation. You treated my children well. And I'm like, but you chose somebody. You chose to get married. You're in. Tell your wife these things. Do not tell me these things. Like,
Miss
what?
Reed,
What?
I'm gonna give you some advice.
Me too.
Once when you close that door,
Never walk back in it.
don't open the door. So you allowed them to come back.
I did.
It's
You're
just a
right.
closed door. It's a closed door.
That you allow yourself to be so vulnerable. You give these guys the power to think that they can do whatever they want to do with you.
Mm.
Come and go as they please. And that's because of your personality. They taking advantage of your personality. They're just who you are. But if they were real men, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't even play with you. You understand what I'm saying? They wouldn't even play
Right.
these games with you. So that's why I'm with it.
And also the men that you're now, I know, you know, these guys is taking advantage of you and doing all these things, but those are the men that you're attracting. So it gets to some
It's a
point where you
pattern.
have to
And it's a
say,
pattern.
it's not them, it's me, because I keep attracting the same people. So what I need to do is I need to change inside and mentally, and then, you know, how I approach men. Because what's the longest you ever just not dated, that you just not dated?
What's the longest? I would
Yeah.
say, I mean, I've gone a long stretch without dating, but that's also, you have to understand, I had a lot of illness happening where I needed to focus on me. And yes, I've definitely gone through that, but that's how I came up with my list. Like, those these things that I'm talking to you about is how I got to where I'm at the beginning of this show, where I have my will not move on what these things are, like my solid, I will not compromise on, and then my flexible zone, and then
Did you give that list? Did you give the list?
Yes, let's hear the list.
I
Let's
did.
hear the list.
Yeah, give the list again.
First of all, you know, my foundational one, which is, while I respect, it has to be rooted in Christ.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
that is first and foremost to me, because my most valuable relationship that I hold the closest to my heart is my relationship with Christ.
Okay.
And I need somebody that understands the value of that. And if
Right.
we're not equally yoked, if you're from another religion, or if you're just spiritually sound, it has in the past come in my way. I have tried those things, and it doesn't work. There's a jealousy that comes up that for my love of Christ. And that's why that is a non-negotiable thing.
All right. And what
My other one is because of my health conditions and my things, I cannot be with a smoker. That is something that is a hard no. I can't be with anybody that smokes. I have very bad lungs. I have an oxygen tank that's like the last 5 months I've had to be on and off of an oxygen tank. So I, with having such kind of weird health conditions, that will set me off. And so I
Did
can't.
the medication cause those that oxygen therapy for your lungs?
I had an infection that my body is too weak to fight right now.
Gotcha.
And I have asthma and allergies where if I was stronger, I could probably handle those things. But I'm kind of at the point where those things become strong triggers for me.
Right.
So smoking is not something I can handle.
I have a question. Reaper, I have a question. What if somebody is willing to grow with you spiritually together? They may not be where you're at right now because of their background or how they grew up, but they're willing to grow with you spiritually.
You kind of have to be on a similar level, I feel like. I have tried that where somebody was on a journey, but we were so different in the level and the path. It was not the same. And then there was still a lot of misunderstanding. So unfortunately, kind of being equally yoked is very important to me because I've been in situations like that. And my list comes from past experiences, past doors that I will not reopen or that I will not allow to happen again. A lot of self-work, a lot of self-reflecting. I do invest in myself a lot. I am not afraid to do therapy. I'm not afraid. I do go through therapy. I do work on myself. I am a type 2 Enneagram, which is a helper by nature, wanting to fix things and comfort people and make things better. And so a lot of that was reflected in my dating pattern, that I would welcome the brokenness a lot, to be like the one to help people through that. But now I know, like, okay, I need somebody solid. I need somebody that can be the caregiver for me.
I agree. I agree. She definitely needs some at this point in her life. She's in her late 40s. She definitely needs someone solid. However, again, do not rule out West Africa, and do not.
There's no ruling out, sir. I'm equal opportunity. Okay.
And I think the man that you're gonna find, he's gonna be somewhere between 50 to 55.
Yeah, you're gonna find an older gentleman, and on top of that,
And I'm not limited. Like, I don't need. I mean, obviously, especially in the upper echelons, you will have people that are divorced and people with children, and I welcome that. I welcome that a lot. I have a lot to contribute. I have a lot to give by way of love and nurturing into an environment. And so, I really don't have a long list on my must-haves. As far as finances, I just don't need to inherit a ton of debt, right? Like,
Right.
I don't need a ton of debt. If you are making your way and you're living a life and you are good with your finances in the sense that you're not like in debt, I'm good with that. I don't need somebody that's in debt. That's
so fellas, if y'all listening to this now, y'all pay very close attention for those that are available. Make sure you're single now. Don't play no games with this sister. She's a good person. And we trying to help her out. So if y'all know somebody with a good heart, just as good as hers, and they're into their Christianity the way she is, because she's looking for equally yoked, then please recommend somebody on this panel that you recognize, so we can get her mate, so she can be happy and live her life in the sunset.
But don't get it twisted. That happiness is all in here. There is joy and there is happiness. So I am happy, but I welcome the enhancement to my life of finding an amazing partner.
You will. And again, just continue to speak it. I believe in, the power of the tongue. So always speak it, whatever you want in existence, and say it from the heart. Yeah.
I agree.
So it is past the hour, and as always, we always want to leave some nice words, some words of wisdom, something that can help somebody, touch somebody in any kind of way. So who want to go first?
I mean, I can. Be true
Go
to
ahead.
yourself. Definitely know what matters the most to you and don't compromise, because those things, you are absolutely worth it. You are absolutely worth knowing that these are my must-haves, and I'm worth the wait. You don't have to rush into something and make big sacrifices and big compromise, because your day will come.
Gotcha. What you got, Miss Vita?
I just want to say for all the single ladies that are out there, not even just single, women in general, know your value as a woman so that you don't get run over, and just know your purpose in life. Like like Reba has her values, know your values, know your place in life, and you'll eventually, find somebody. I know for me, I'm a married woman, but I met my husband several years ago, back in my 20s. So I understand that modern day dating nowadays is so different than back in the day. So my view personally is different because I was best friends with my husband first before we even started dating. And speaking with Cleveland and other male family members, they're like, that's not how it is these days. But I'm still a firm believer in getting to know the person as a friend before you just jump into something. But most definitely know your value and purpose.
What you got, Brother Clay?
First of all, I want to thank y'all ladies for joining us today. I really appreciate that. People out there, subscribe, share, hit the like button. And for me, when dating and being out here trying to find your mate, you got to know what you want. It's nothing wrong with having, things that you want out of life and things you expect your mate or the person that you are gonna pick to be your mate, to have. But at the same time, you also got to think, the things that I want and the type of man I want, what does he want? Or the type of woman I want, what does she want? And I think if we was to just focus on that, it'll be easy out here dating. It really will. That's all I got.
And I just want to piggyback off what Cleveland said. I just want to say, for ladies who are in their 40s, I'm going to say ladies who are in their late 30s on up, or mid 30s on up. One thing you have to understand, and I'm not telling you to settle. So that's not what I'm saying. But I will say this. Your list that you have, whether it's written down in your head when you was 21, should not be the same list at 31. Your list at 31 should not be the same as when you're 41. With that being said, your list, you're going to have to shorten that list. You have to. It's inevitable. You have to, if you're looking for somebody. Now, if you want to remain single, continue doing what you're doing. But if you're looking for somebody, and then the older you get, the harder it gets. So you're going to have to shorten that list. You're going to have to do some compromising to a certain degree. I'm not saying lose your self-respect. I'm not saying lose your faith. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying be more realistic. And I promise you, something good will come out of that. Just be realistic with the entire situation. And on that note, we're out.